Welcome back to the Fulfilled Entrepreneur, part 2 of May. We've gone over a lot of stuff in April and in May. April was more financial based and profit margins and all that good stuff. And then now May, we turned in what happens to that profit margin if your operations are a little out of whack. And essentially, as we discovered, next slide here, how the operations are the key inside the business as money flows from how you fulfill on the work into the sales, and then of course into the financial pillar of the business. And it just feeds everything you fulfilling on that work. And we discovered in the first part why underpricing and over delivering is essentially one of those quiet or hidden sabotages of growth. How the fulfillment is the economic engine of the entire business, and the real cost of doing everything manually. And what that means to be, stopping being a laborer, being a technician, and moving into like the architect, moving into the string puller of your business, and your commitment to build at least one system, or really to look at one standard operating procedure inside your business and grow that out into something that is repeatable. So this really wasn't, this first part of May wasn't all about the operations, but essentially that, financial identity of you and your business. So I'd love to hear and just open up for everyone here. What was one of the big takeaways, the biggest insights and shifts inside you as a person, inside you as a business owner from part 1 in May? Who would like to share? Go for it, Boyd or Rowan.
I think one insight for me is like, out of all the stuff that we have been talking about and working on, it's dedicated a time to work on the actual business itself. Because like for me, I work as a worker, as a dentist in the business, and I don't think I dedicate enough time or any time really to work on the actual business itself as an owner, right? So or not intentional about it anyway. So it doesn't, it's like, hey, I'm tired, I already worked all day, 8 hours, 9 hours, and then whatever hour and a half or 2 that I have left, then I will work on the business. So I think it's really being more intentional, more like, not even more, like just have to schedule time to work on the engine of the business. Like, I think
what insights have you pulled for you inside your own business as you've started to actually work on it? What have you seen? What have you discovered?
What have I seen? I think one of the biggest things that I have worked on with Wes and you is it's actually really trusting that my staff is bigger than what I think, who I think they are, and then just handing that over when, with precise instructions, of course, and expectations, right? But trusting that they can run with this, take whatever I have for them to do, or whatever we're up to, as long as I can paint a big picture of the why. Like, what am I doing? What are we doing? What are we up to? Like, what's this project, and the why we're doing it, and then just kind of let them run with it. So the inside, I guess, is just not to control and hog everything, like letting things go. Letting things go, but not without accountability, without like,
there's one thing I learned earlier in my career. It's like abdication versus delegation. Like abdicating, just here, Wes, do this thing with no instructions and no accountability, him open door to ask me questions, versus delegating, like it sounds like what you're saying is actually propping up Wes for success. Here's some instructions. Here's why we want to do this. Here's how important it is. You can ask me any questions you want, and empowering your team to start doing the work for you instead of you having to be the one to do all the work. Right. Yeah, that's great. What's one thing that you've gotten for yourself in really diving into more of the delegation and seeing that your people are good at what they do? What have you gotten back? Like what was missing that you didn't even realize was missing for you?
What was missing that I didn't realize was missing for me? I think a big piece of it was a peace of mind, because I didn't trust that they would be able to finish whatever they needed to finish without having me to clean it up. Like I just hate cleaning things up, and then I go there first. I'd rather just do it so I don't have to clean things up, right? And at the same time, it's very like limiting because like it limits my time. Two, it's like probably can't handle it. You know, like some of these tasks are better at it than I am, right? Because they're what they do. So, and three is it's like there's a lack of growth. Eventually I become a machine just doing stupid stuff over and over and over. Like and it's just like
just have a job.
Yeah, just have a job. It's like still a company of one, even though we have like 10. So you know, so
yeah. Good job, Boyd. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Well, I had a meeting with Katrina.
Yeah.
So now it's like I have my own accountant, which is really cool. So it's just, I mean, I'm kind of repeating myself, but it's been really interesting to see how much of an impact keeping better track of my finances and expenses and everything for the business. I mean, it seems like I'm able to almost half my estimated taxes just by keeping better books and then working with a CPA. So, you know, and then understanding a little bit more about like profitability and how to assign things. And so for me, that's really exciting. And it sounds like based on my income last year that it makes sense for me to create an LLC. And so, you know, and just being more formal in the structure of my business and essentially making myself an employee, it just gives a totally different perspective on how I think about things, because it's not just like I'm working for other people. Now I'm like working for myself, which I think is the big shift for me. Is that I have my own company and I employ myself. And that really shifts
Great job.
my perspective and kind of the paradigm within which I'm operating. So
yeah, very cool. Wonderful. And with that new paradigm, what do you see as possible for you, either in your life or business?
Pay less taxes.
That's a good one.
I think it's like sort of having boundaries where I'm not so wishy-washy about, you know, what I cost or how to. I mean, I still have to work on you know, the cost estimator. I so I don't know. That's kind of revealing itself. I would say. But
ponder on that for a little while. You know, really like as you shift from a lifestyle business, kind of a wake up and do your work and, you know, take care of whatever comes in, to I am an employee of my business and I'm working for myself. I'm creating the work that I'm doing. I'm creating the life that I want. And just see what comes up, you know, see what comes up as with that paradigm shift as the way that you thought, your ideas, your goals, your desires before, and what
Yeah.
they are and what they could be moving forward. And just see what comes up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great job,
I mean,
man.
it's there's like a weird irony amongst all of it because it's like participating in this and then sort of seeing some of the synchronicities that are going on and feeling like I'm growing and evolving. It's sort of like um hard to distinguish between what is the result of my own personal action and then what is sort of like the result of like my circumstances or having relationships mature or like things sort of evolve organically out of just sticking with something for long enough.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Great job, Ron. Thanks for
thanks.
sharing.
Yeah.
You know, and something I'm hearing out of the shares from both of you guys and just in general, right? You may have heard this before, but life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. There's no difference in business. The whole thing, all of what we have, your business happens for you. The amount of networking that you do, the way that you keep track of your finances, the quality of your work that has people call you back. You know, it didn't just happen by accident. Those are things that you guys take on every single day and sometimes hundreds of times a day, which all accumulate into this thing we call our business that happens for you. Every single action you take, every single action you don't take, things happen for you. So I'm really hearing like you guys, everyone's seeing and developing that shift. And specifically in this module regarding operations and standard operating procedures, being more aware of your business and how things operate, that now we're starting to see that employees have that same effect. You know, the work that they are doing happens for the business, happens for them. So the more intentional we are with our employees, with our staff, with our vendors, hiring a good CPA, you know, things start to happen. They're easier. You know, things happen for you. So really good job on everything that you guys are doing. I'm very proud of you. It's great to see the shift in mindsets, shift in thinking, which essentially gives you access to more options, more ideas, better ideas, more well-defined outcomes that you want, gives a clearer picture of where you want to go. So with what we've been working on this month, who has taken on developing procedures or developing a document of sorts, like a master document of sorts that you can brain dump all of your procedures on? Who has taken on that at all?
Well, I've
Raise
started
your
it
hand. Okay.
after we met last week.
Yeah.
I did
Yeah, in
start.
office hours.
Yeah, in the office
Mhm.
hours. I did struggle with the costing part of it, so I'm glad I joined you for that. So I could. But one of the biggest things that that I've been doing as well is not just starting that document and trying to really put all my procedures in place, is realizing how much time I spend on each thing and
Yeah.
the amount of commission I do get, because I don't have a way to price my stuff. It's already priced for me. But the way you said that to me was like, you know, like how much time are you, even if I make more doing this one, you know, selling this one product, it takes me so much more time to
Yeah.
sell it because of the demographic that I target. And so it's just different things like that. So now I'm starting to track, and I've created a different tracking system. So lots of good stuff happening before I got sick.
Good. Do you have any insights so far? Is it too early to
Well, I just
tell?
started doing it on Monday, and then and then Tuesday, you know what happened this week. So
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance, but I know what I want to start tracking, and that's what I've kind of spent some time doing. And so I created that, and then I did track a little bit, but I just haven't had a normal week. So
Yeah, got
but
it.
it's a work in progress.
Cool. Thanks for sharing, Wendy.
Okay.
And the systems that you build today aren't just saving you time, it's building your future capacity. And one of the things that I remember hearing a while back, and even especially now with the skydiving world, is that we don't rise to the level of the goal or the desire. We fall to the level of our training and our development. So this goes across the board for us as business owners, as well as employees, anybody involved in your team. Let's say, for instance, a leader, if they've never been trained and developed and mentored on how to lead, they're going to fall to the level of their training and development, which if you have none, they're just doing the best they can. They're surviving through their leadership. So it's our job as business owners to develop ourselves as much as we can, things like the Fulfilled Entrepreneur and the Be Your Best series and any other education and development out there, formal or not, is increasing our capacity, and systems especially is one of the best ways to do that, or standard operating procedures. So anything that happens more than twice or more essentially within a month needs to be documented, needs to be a procedure, needs to be created inside of that. So you're not thinking like, how did I deal with this last month when that billing error happened? Then you have to rethink through the way that you dealt with it last month. Hopefully you replicate the exact same steps. And then what about Sally? Does she know how to deal with that? Or is she going to make up her own system of how to deal with a billing error or whatever she's got going on? So SOPs, or standard operating procedures, are crucial. It's building your personal and your business's capacity for growth, increasing that plate for the amount of business that you can handle. So one of the questions I'd like to ask you is, if your business were to grow by 25% in the next 90 days without adding more hours for yourself, what systems would you need in place to be able to handle that growth as a business? What comes to mind? If your business were to grow by 25% within the next 90 days, what systems would you see need to be in place to handle that growth and not completely just crumble or be stressed out and working 80 hours instead of your already 60? Go for it, Boyd.
I can see it. I mean, for me, if I was to increase production or collection by 25%, I would need, and it's kind of already in place. Number one is scheduling, because I'm patient based, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm increasing production, it's either I'm doing more cases or cases with bigger value, meaning more work. So scheduling has to be on point. Like, hey, if this patient, these procedure gets an hour, gets 2 hours. So otherwise it becomes a mess, and they don't like that because they run around in the back, right? So like we call it block scheduling, meaning that you get like an hour here, 2 hour here, and it's zigzag. However, it's like playing Tetris, building a block of schedule. One, two is to bring in 25% more enrollment, right? Closing, treatment planning, presenting fees, closing cases, financing if need be.
Yeah.
Then there's billing, like if they have insurance, you bill.
Yeah.
And then after a month, if the claim doesn't get paid, then what happened? We call, where's my money at, right? And
Where's my money at?
Go from there.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
either, and then one thing that we haven't been cleared on, and this is because we've been feeling bad, but ideally after a month, if insurance don't pay on it, we send a bill to patient like, yo, we bill them once, we call them once, and all that. It hasn't gotten paid. You need to pay, and if they do pay, we'll send it back to you, or something like that, right? So that's another system that's something that we got to work on, because otherwise,
look at you identifying your gaps already. Yeah, there you go.
So
now
there's a bunch.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself being the bottleneck in any of these?
Where do I see myself being the bottleneck?
Related to the 25% growth over the next 90 days without adding a ton more hours, where are you the bottleneck?
If I was doing something else other than dentistry, because where I'm bringing in money is actually doing the work. But if I'm like over there making phone calls or doing other things, that doesn't make any money.
Yep. So what do you hear in everything you just said that you're going to go to work on? What's one thing you're going to go to work on that of all the things you just heard yourself say?
Well, what's one thing I'm going to work on? It's actually like having people in place to do or be efficient at the stuff that doesn't require my hand, right? Like
Mhm.
doing the dentistry is me, but everything else, like somebody else in place for that part.
Exactly. Now that's a fairly vague yet big, hairy, audacious goal. That's, the efficiency of having all the people in the right spots in the right places. What is one spot that takes up a lot of your time that you can go to work on tomorrow? And for everyone, listening, this is something I want you to listen for yourself. If your business was to grow by 25% in the next 90 days, what things do you see, what systems do you see will need to be improved or created, and where are you the bottleneck?
I think one thing that comes to mind is there's certain assistant tasks that I'm not letting go of because I feel like I can still do it better. Let's say, I don't know, making like temporary crowns or something like that. Like, so there's certain things that they can do that I'm still doing just because I feel like I can do a better job, right? But
Okay.
yeah.
And what story are you telling yourself? And not necessarily landmark wise, but what's in your head as to why you say, I can do it better than you?
I think for me, it's like I can do it better, I can do it faster, just do it once and get it done. Kind of like that.
Okay. Yeah, got that. So how does that impact negatively, in this case, the capacity of your team and your business?
Well, one, it doesn't allow them to have exposure to doing this enough to get it to get it to the level where I want them, right? Because it's not a practice based, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because I just keep jumping in, right? One.
Yep.
Two is I'll go back to like the block scheduling again, because there's like doctor's time and assistant time. But if I'm keeping on grabbing on to this assistant's time, it keeps me away from doing other things somewhere else,
Yeah. Not making money. Not
Not
having the
making
business
money.
make money. Yeah.
That's one. I think that's another big one is it's conversation. Sometimes I feel like I have to be the one doing the enrollment, so I haven't trained my team to do the enrollment. So every conversation comes from me. Like patient, like let's say like people will be like, "Hey, why do I need a crown?" That doesn't always 100% of the time have to come from my mouth. It's always the same every time. You have a cracked tooth, you have a big like it's always some version of that. And they should be trained enough to like look at an X-ray and be like, "Hey, I think it's this." I can have Dr. Boyd confirm it, but I think it's this. Or listen to me enough to hear that I'm actually, because before patient leaves, at least 2 to 3 times we would repeat the same thing, like, "Hey, you need a crown, you see it, blah 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 blah." There's a triage, there's a triangle. I haven't practiced enough where I can keep them accountable for spitting back the same thing that I'm saying. So that takes a lot of time. Like if somebody just like, "Hey, where am I going next? What am I doing?" Like, and then I have to come back in the room. Whereas it's like somebody who is able to like, "Hey, 5 minutes ago, Dr. Boyd said this, blah 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 blah." Right. So repeated conversation over and over. Yeah. So they can take that on.
Sounds like a good operating procedure for you to develop for yourself, because that conversation happens a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Well, definitely jump on office hours next, or when we hop on a call on our one-to-one coaching, we can start talking about that stuff, Wes and Boyd. That'd be a good thing to dive into. Thanks for sharing, Boyd.
No problem. Thank you.
You're welcome. Before we move on, who would like to share what they're hearing inside of this and how you can apply what Boyd was sharing to your own situation? Javi or Wendy, Noreen? Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it was the bottleneck, that where am I, and again, it's just get it done myself so I can get it done right and I don't have to babysit it. That's kind of where I bottleneck stuff, and then it takes me away from managing the project or other projects, and that's kind of where my dilemma is with I mean, it just happened today. It's like just let me go knock this out and then I can be done. Or somebody screwed this up. Let me just go fix it and then be done. But I think where I lack is that I don't set the intention of, and that's where I get frustrated with myself, that I don't set the intention of the expectations of what I need. And that's kind of where I, hit the wall and get frustrated. It's like, it's all on me. So that's why it's like, well, let me just go fix it then.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have to backpedal.
Yep. Yeah, I got that. Yeah, and it's something to consider. There's a few things I heard in what you shared, at least related to a standard operating procedure. Start taking pictures. I'm sure you probably already have some, but take pictures of what good work looks like and what bad work looks like. That's a fantastic visual representation for like, here's good work, here's bad work. What does your work look like, Adam? And then be able to have me start seeing for myself, one of your guys, as to what my work looks like as compared to what good work looks like or quality work. That could be a good way. And plus, developing a procedure for how to handle that. But most of all, what you were saying with you being the bottleneck and taking care of that work is sometimes it's necessary. But when it becomes default, as that's just the way things are, and that's just the way I am, and that's what needs to happen all of the time, that's a good red flag of sorts for all of us. When that is your everyday, that is a problem.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're bad. There's nothing wrong with that problem. That's just a problem if our intention is to increase capacity as a person and as a business, and to really be profitable. It's almost impossible to really be profitable and to expand capacity when that's just our default, beyond just coming in when you need to every so often.
So like, would I set like a standard operating procedure for like every aspect, or is there too many that I can have, or is it just kind of want to slim it down, dumb it down type?
You want to try to find for standard operating procedures, and this is a great segue into what we're doing. Essentially, it's protecting your genius. It's a system, simple system builder. That document that I sent out in the first and part 1, it's our intention when developing SOPs or standard operating procedures is to protect my genius, like protect where I, as a business owner, excel the most. So that way I'm not having to put out fires everywhere. So honestly, I would start with where the most fires are, where the largest ones that take the most of your time. And then because of construction, because there's so many different things that are called quality that are involved in making a quality product, a house, a remodel, a kitchen, there's plumbing differences versus electrical differences, there's safety and all of that. There's a lot to look at. So that would take forever.
Yeah.
Try to get it down to its core, most simplest level to start, and then expand from there. Some of the things that you look for, what might be one thing across the board from, let's say, electrical to framing to plumbing that you would look for that would be a quality product without having to be so specific as to each thing that they're doing.
I think a big one right now on the job sites is cleanliness and organization.
Perfect. That goes across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be a good one. Here's what a clean project looks like at the end of the day before you leave.
Right.
Here's what a clean project looks like when it's supposed to be done. In the milestones, you can start developing an SOP for the major milestones, the pre-work, the middle of the work, the post-work, before the quality assurance and the client pays. Yeah. Here's what it looks like. And if they don't do it to the way that it's supposed to look like, then you have conversations. Then you show them. And if you've shown them twice, now you start to be like, hey, man, I've shown you twice. I know you can do this. What's up? Hold them accountable or let them go if they're not willing to grow. Yeah. Does that help you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Good. Thanks for sharing. So one of the main things with SOPs or standard operating procedures, really, again, is to protect your genius. So anything that's repeatable, you have a genius level of energy and effort and expertise that goes into that task. So why do we not write things down and try to rethink the thing that we do 10 times a week? If it lives in your head, no one else can do it. That's not growth. That's not increasing your business's capacity if it stays in your head. Now, on the flip side of that, you have a document that's beautiful, a 27-page standard operating procedure for everything. No one's going to read that. That's way too complicated. There's a healthy harmony in creating a procedure that is simple, protecting your employees' genius as well, so they don't have to rethink how to do their job every day. So one of the things that it really does is to create, when you create SOPs, is to protect the most valuable asset in your business is you and your staff. And it may sound corporate like SOPs or standard operating procedures, but in real life, you know, they're what protect your time, protect your focus, and most of all, your sanity. That's a big one. So I want you to think about, as SOPs are simply just a documented way of doing something. If you ever have written out the same email 3 times, maybe like a collections letter or a quote, an estimate, and the only thing that changes are the numbers, but everything else is pretty much the same. Explain the same process to 3 different people, and of course, probably in 3 different ways, and even lost time trying to remember how you did something the last time, then you need an SOP. You need a standard way of doing it. Just document how you already do it, and voila, that's the start of a standard operating procedure. It doesn't get more complicated than that. It will evolve in complication because of now you have 10 people doing something, following that procedure. That's different than just one person following a procedure. That evolves, but it starts with you just documenting the way something is done. And again, if it lives in your head, it's not scalable, and it's stealing from your future freedom, as well as your businesses and your capacity. And also, I want you to start thinking of your life outside of work, because we're a big fan, you know, like Be Your Best. I know most of you here in Be Your Best, but this is a compilation. We are human here. We are business owners, as well as we have our own personal lives. But Boyd is Boyd, and Boyd has a business. Boyd has a personal life. So is Rowan. This is our whole life that we can look at, like a packing list for travel, a checklist for making sure that you have your passport if you're going international. Here's what I'm going to pack if I'm going to be for 5 days. I'm going to make sure I have my toothpaste. All those things, that's essentially a standard operating procedure. There really is no difference in our personal lives and what we do at home as to how we pack for a trip, a grocery list, a morning routine. Those are all different forms of a standard operating procedure. It's a documented way of doing a thing that is done often. And the real power isn't just in business, but it's really giving your brain a break so your creativity, your leadership, and your presence stay sharp. That's one of the most powerful things about standard operating procedures, is that your creativity, your leadership, your expertise, your presence in the task stays sharp, not sidetracked and thinking about, how do I build this thing again? How do I do this crown again? How do I coach Rowan through this problem again? How do I sell this insurance thing again? That takes away your presence and puts it over there into thinking how to do the thing you're supposed to be doing, which people are paying for your expertise. Who here got that handout and actually looked at it? The assignment. Anyone? No worries. I promise I won't
Noted.
hold it. Huh?
Noted.
Oh, noted. Yeah. I promise I won't hold it against every single person here.
I do not.
All right, so I'm going to walk through the handout again, and I'll resend it for us. All right, so here's essentially that protect your genius, the system's simple system builder. So what's one task that you've done more than 3 times this month that feels repetitive or exhausting? Like maybe going and cleaning up after your crew. That might be a good one. You'd write down the task name, how often you do it, daily, weekly, monthly, and then approximate time spent each time. So this is kind of just getting the facts, like here's what goes on. Then you would break it down into 3 to 5 simple steps. Again, it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that, at least to start. You can expand it out from there. And as it evolves, there will be time that you need to spend on growing this SOP, excuse me. And then lastly is choosing the path forward. What's the best way for me to implement this SOP or the system? Might you create a template or a checklist? Maybe you record a Loom video. Loom is just a screen record system, but whichever one you use, record your computer screen showing how to do it. That is a fantastic way for you to create an SOP for anything digital. Click record and do the task, and then just walk somebody through it. Okay, now we're going to click here, and this is what I look at, and that's what I do next. And if this doesn't show up, then I do this thing. That is an SOP. Delegate it to a VA or a virtual assistant, or maybe a team member, or even potentially automate it. I know we've been talking about automation here and there. That is another way for you to implement the standard operating procedure. And then you'll take action on this by when. Give yourself a deadline. This doesn't live in a vacuum. If you spend the time doing this and then it goes nowhere and you don't share it with anybody, you don't review it every so often, that's a vacuum. If you don't train other people on it, as people, we all fall to the level of our training and development. If you don't train and develop people on this, then they're just going to do it their own way. That steals from the capacity of your business, and that steals your sanity as a business owner. So I'll make sure to send this out for you again. And again, I won't hold it against each and every one of you, I promise. But please take that on over the next couple of weeks. It is a thing that I built for you to help simplify the process of developing an SOP. I know Wendy did some of this work together on our office hours call. Come to office hours if you want to work through these. That's what we're here for. And we can really just start breaking them down, do like a working session together. So I would like to hear from at least one of you. What has been stopping you from developing a standard operating procedure, or just documenting any of these steps that you do often? What's in the way? What's the conversation in your head as to, I should do that, and then you don't?
For me, it's more about just taking the time to do it, like slowing down enough, thinking that it's just going to be a big fat pain in the ass, or you know what I mean, or just
big fat
even
pain in the ass.
or and then just trying to figure out where to start, I guess, as well.
Yeah. Yeah, well put. Thanks. Nailed it. Yeah. Is that a pun because you're in construction? Nailed it. That was a good one. Boyd?
I think for me, I'm laughing because one of my buddy, he was like, you think you're so special that you think nobody can do what you do. And that includes like simple conversations, right?
Yeah.
Like you just won't give it out because you think nobody else can do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Are you laughing because it's absurd when you hear yourself?
It is
say that in your
absurd.
head?
Like basically, I've trained my whole life to be the best at what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes for, whatever, right? And then it's like, you just, and when I was having this conversation with him, because he's got a really successful practice, he has like 60 employees.
Nice.
He's like, you just think you're freaking special. That's all. You just won't give it up. That, you think nobody else can take impressions better than you, which is dumb, right? Like, whatever. So I'm just laughing because it's true. I mean, like, it's absurd.
It's funny that you say that. You know, one of the most vivid pictures in my brain shows up is like, as we evolve as business owners, what you did, your development and all of that, that got you to this level, got you here to this level, right? Your job changes. Your job
Yeah.
changed. And it sounds like there's been some resistance there, as this is now what's going to carry the day moving forward, is not being the best at doing all the things. It's developing others to be the best at all of those things. And that is now your job. Right? So seeing how absurd that is to not embrace the hell out of that work, you know, to develop the capacity and stop robbing your future capacity and success of you and your business, because you're the best at everything. And I'm going to continue to remain being the best at everything that helped me get here to where I'm at for the past 15 years.
It's an identity that it's almost like scary to get rid of, right? Because now if I'm not the best, then I'm not good, or however that shows up for me. It's like,
yeah,
it's like threatening, right?
Yep.
Exactly. But in reality, I would want and love for everybody else in my practice to be better than me. That way, we just don't have to do anything, right? Yeah. Other than making sure it's heading in the right directions.
Who here has kids? I know you do, Boyd.
I do.
Javi, your kids? 2, yeah? Rowan?
I have a stepson.
Stepson? Okay. So think of a situation where they didn't know something. You maybe taught them or at least guided them in the right direction. They did some learning, watched YouTube, read a book, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then all of a sudden they showed up and they learned that thing and they did it pretty damn good. How proud of them were you that they learned how to do this thing that they sucked at 10 minutes ago or had no idea how to do? Right? At least you have like one situation where you saw your kid or your stepson or whatever, or even another kid that sucked at something. And then all of a sudden, like a couple months later, like, how'd you get so good at that? Have you had that situation happen? Right? It's the same thing with employees. There's no difference. But we're leaving it up to them to figure it out. That's pretty tough for anyone. Doesn't matter if you're 6 or if you're 36. If you leave it up to somebody else to figure it out in their own way with no development, no guidance, no training, like they'll just do the best they can. And just like us, when now it's our job to lead and develop others, we suck at that for a little while. And that's totally cool. But if that's now your job, you know, start developing yourself to get better at it and practice at it. That's the only way that you can get good at it, is to practice and suck and realize that you suck a little bit. And then tomorrow you're going to suck less. And then next week you're going to suck even lesser until you're like, wow, I'm actually pretty good at leading people. I'm actually pretty good at SOPs. It's not so much of a big fat pain in the ass, like Wendy said, anymore. Like, this is actually pretty easy. And then all of a sudden, the way that you see other people in your business starts to shift. It continues to shift. But yes, you are going to suck for a little while, and that's totally cool. And yes, like you said, Boyd, so eloquently, it's an identity. It's a punch in the face to your identity. I'm really good at all these things, and I suck at this one thing, so I'm not going to do this one thing, and I'm just going to focus on these other things. It's not easy. It's not fun to really look at it that way and to like see that part of us, that part of your identity get bruised. But what is that taken away from your future freedom, your future capacity? Change outweighs the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of change. So I'd encourage you not to let it get to the point where it's so painful to stay the same that you're forced into change. Sometimes that's necessary, but you can infect this change so things don't stay the same. You can be the driving force of these SOPs and all this change that we're talking about, this identity stuff, becoming the leader, stepping into that role, developing your people, developing the systems that are necessary for you to grow. Step into it. And that's one of the things I really want, that I've been working on in the background and developing this material from April and from May is, you know, the operations and that fulfillment. That's what drives the business, and that's what drives the profit. That's what drives you being able to hire people. And that's the one of the most crucial parts of when I say, Boyd, I want you to work on my teeth. I pay you for a service and then you do the work. Multiply that times hundreds of people, times thousands of people. That feeds the sales so you can get more people. That feeds you and your kids. You know, like it's very important. It's the most important pillar, at least I'd like to think. It's the most important pillar of the business. So systems don't just scale your business, they preserve your brilliance. And they allow you to, again, to lead, to create, and to grow without carrying every single step alone. So this week's challenge over the next couple of weeks is to work on that Protect Your Genius, that simple system builder from an SOB to SOP. I am stealing that. Yeah. Turn yourself from an SOB to an SOP, right? And on that note, goodbye. Oh, that was perfect, Javi. That's really funny. I am 100% going to steal that. I will trade that, mark that with you, and I'll give you the proceeds. I will split them. That's perfect. Yeah. Right. And have some fun with it too. I encourage you to have some fun with that. Like, hey, I'm an SOB for not stepping into this leadership role. You're like, God, idiot. And then go to work on stepping into that role. You know, again, it's not going to be, it's not always easy. It's not always fun. It's not always like the feel good, the warm and fuzzy feelers that I stink at this for a little while. Start getting comfortable with being uncomfortable and creating SOPs and leading and training and developing people and identifying gaps and turning those gaps into future freedom, future scalability, future success, future capacity growth. And don't see them as, oh, I suck. And it doesn't help anyone. So start documenting the things that should not belong to you anymore. And I want to share a slide as we start to close out. These are, and I'm going to send this out to you as well. These are a few of the tasks, the common tasks. I'm going to go to operations, and let's just focus on this one. These are some of the most common tasks in operations and fulfillment. Essentially that delivery engine of the business, the pillar. Client onboarding. Somebody new comes in. How do you handle them? Do you ask for their credit card up front? Do you have them sign an agreement? All that stuff. That shouldn't belong to you if it does. It doesn't need to an extent. Service and product delivery calls, scheduling appointments. If any of these things are on your plate, develop an SOP. Start getting them off of your plate. Because it's most of these things, at least in my opinion, the only place that you should be involved is the accountability and the quality of the work. If you have a team, if you are the team, which is totally cool, start developing an SOP for each one of these, or at least how they flow together. When a client comes in, here's how I take care of them. I'm going to send them an email with the agreement. I'm going to schedule their first call. I'm going to get their credit card on file, whatever. Checklist type deal. Then that flows into me scheduling the work. Now I need to order the parts. Now I need to do the work. Now I need to collect the payment. Now I need to make sure they're happy with the quality of my work. Develop the flow. Develop the standard operating way, document how these things should go for you. But essentially, most of these are not ownership level tasks. Now, if you're a single business owner, or Wendy, like you're a skilled professional at your work, yes, you will eventually expand your team. But for a little while, yeah, that's totally cool if you do most of these. That's fine. The intention, though, should be looking in the future. To not be the one stuck doing all these steps alone. So I'll send this out so you can take a peek at them. And essentially, your business doesn't grow because you do more. It grows when your systems start to multiply your effort. And the clearer that your systems get, the more that your leadership expands. So it grows when your systems multiply your effort, which another word for that is leverage. Leveraging your systems, your people, leveraging other people's time to deliver the work is how your business grows, not from you doing all the doings that your business requires to fulfill on your product. Sweet. It's 7:23. All right. What are you guys hearing so far? Where are you guys at in the conversation as we start to close out? I'd like to hear from you. Go for it, Boyd.
I think for me, really separating like the identity. That's probably we do have most of our like SOP written, and I don't bust it out. I actually haven't really looked at it. Linda does. Linda look at it all the time. She always refining them. For me, it's like almost non-existent, right? So I got to get really in touch with that and actually use it, because but in order for me to do that, I have to actually like let go of that, letting go of that. My business is me. I don't know how to, it's not, it's its own thing, it's its own life force. I'm just a worker in it, right?
Yeah.
So like, because otherwise it's just gonna, it's never gonna grow.
Yeah, and consider another way to look at it is it's a direct reflection of your capacity as a human, your business.
Yeah.
The more controlling you are, yes, it might be a very tight ship, but it's going to be capped. It's going to be only be able to grow so much. And it's just going to stay that way. I mean, this goes for everybody, which includes me, right? I'm not speaking without me involved, because I'm 100% the same. Wes is 100% the same. Our business is a direct reflection of our capacity as human beings, as business owners. The more that we grow, the more that we allow others to grow, the more capacity our business has, the more profit we have, et cetera.
And like, I think for me, there's also a bigger why too, because I mean, yes, I do have kids. I have Linda. And like, one thing that Linda always says to me all the time is like, dude, if something happens to you, I can't walk in here and make this work, because it's just you. Like, this whole thing is you, right? So it has to be like, at the minimum, if I get sick, something were to happen, like my wife or someone close to me has to be able to like step in and manage this and kind of like let it like float along, right? So yeah.
Well put.
Or
That
let
is
it
something
thrive. Sorry.
Oh, go for it, Wes.
I was just saying, or let it thrive, not just let it float along, but somebody else step in and have it thrive.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. And that's usually a barrier that's unseen that most people don't pay attention to. So I applaud and acknowledge your awareness in that. And that is one thing to put in your plate, that the work that you see to do is in service of that, not occurring. And if, knock on wood, God forbid, something like that happens where you get sick, you're taken out for a little while, longer than just a couple days, for whatever reason, that your business thrives. It continues to remain successful, so it can pay for whatever things that you need to make sure that you get healthy again so you can come back. Most people don't pay attention to that, or avoid it, or sweep it under the carpet like it's never going to happen. And that's the way we live. So great job on that awareness. And that is definitely something that you could put into your mind as this is one of the additional reasons of why I'm doing this other work, the leadership and the SOPs and all that good stuff. Yeah. Cool. Thanks for sharing, Boyd. Anyone else want to share? Got just 2 minutes left.
I feel like I keep coming back to the same sort of quandary as far as, you know, it seems like expansion and growth has a lot to do with your ability to delegate and find people to delegate tasks to.
Yep.
You know, I mean, not to end up sounding exactly like Boyd, but I mean, I'm like, I'm the one that's doing, you know, that work has to, it's almost like the work has to be done by my hand because that's what people are paying me for.
Mhm.
You know, they're paying me for the work that I do. So, you know, maybe I don't have enough business, but you know, I'm assuming that would change like early, you know, earlier you're asking what would happen if your business increased by 25%. Then I would obviously need more help, but I think things are operating in a way at this point where I'm not really in that situation and I have enough time to kind of manage things myself and I've been, I mean, obviously I've been focusing on slightly different things as far as just getting the basic structure of things organized.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess I'm not like
At different stages of growth, different places
Right.
of business. Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah,
attacking
exactly.
all three pillars at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yep.
it's sort of like one pillar at a time.
Yeah.
So anyway, just when we have these conversations, I'm always like, oh well, like I'm how does that apply to me in some
Yeah.
I mean it does in theory in another situation, but for right now, it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, you
I'm
got it.
where I'm at and this is useful to think about, but how much can I really implement that is like, you know, that's up in the air.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I got that. Thanks for sharing, Ron. Hobby, we got about 45 seconds. You got a quick share for me?
No, just wanted to, something that came out that resonated was identifying the gaps in my day-to-day and create SOPs on that. So that's kind of what stood out.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and I am very confident that it'll feel very good as you identify a gap and do something about it so that gap doesn't remain a gap next week or the next month. It's going to feel really good when things start to take off.
Yeah, like Boyd, we don't want gaps, right?
Yeah. Thanks, Javi. All right, you guys are rocking. Our next session in June is the 12th, if I'm not mistaken, is what I have documented. It sure is. The 12th at 6:30 p.m. Make sure to take advantage of the office hours next Tuesday at noon. And I'm really proud of you guys. You guys have done powerful work this month. I will make sure to send out these slides as well as the assignment again for you guys to work on creating a simple system. We're starting to move really from chaos to clarity, from reaction to intentional design of how you want your life and your business to go. Keep going, keep building smarter, and you're closer than you think. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and I look forward to seeing you next month. Bye.